Hey there, and welcome to a very special behind the scenes for Wreck-It Ralph in 60 seconds. The behind the scenes isn't 60 seconds, the Wreck-It Ralph is in 60 seconds. So the first object I modeled for this film was on December 22nd. It was the arcade cabinet of Wreck-It Ralph. And actually all the other arcade cabinets, I just duplicated them. And Tyler came over and he modified the graphics.
I have moderately altered it into the Chinese knockoff version of this. Now fix some windows or something. I don't know. And those are the instructions, both for life and for this video.
My friend Tarek also designed some of the Girls with Swords cabinet, as well as my friend Calvin did some fan art for the side. Interesting fact, that first shot took over 170 hours to render on my laptop. This scene, the first shot here, is taking my laptop 3 hours a frame. It's basically going to take us right up to the deadline on that render. I think of all the models I did, I'm most proud of the Cybug, which you only really see for 1 second. I mean, just check out this reference. It must be something internal for Disney's reference because it is perfect. I used a lot of Boolean operations. I basically created a shell and I would cut into it with another shape using bools, which is an easy way to model something. Probably the most helpful technique in Hero's Duty was greebling. And what a greeble is a little high-tech piece of geometry, and you can just randomly populate them over a surface. Having so much geometry in the scene really slowed things down, but luckily a cloner object can be turned off until time of render, so that means I could work fast in the viewport. One of the most important modeling techniques in the Sugar Rush environments was to make a dripping chocolate effect, which I used extensively in the volcano set. The chocolate wasn't enough, it wasn't interesting enough, just as a background, so what I did is I'm kind of adding in some sections where things kind of droop down. Vanellope's cart wasn't actually that hard to make. Again, there's a lot of reference online, and it actually took me, I think, less than half of a day. Because I had all the shaders already developed. One of the most interesting techniques I found for developing shaders was to actually take pictures of real cookies and real frosting. With the light source hard left, hard top, hard right, hard bottom, by making the photos different colors and changing how they blend together, you can actually create what's called a normal map. Some scenes didn't render at all, so I had to keep going back and optimizing because they would essentially just eat the hard drive until it ran out of space. I basically had to troubleshoot scenes up to like revision 11 on a lot of stuff like the Mentos sim. Regardless, a lot of things were 3 hours a frame or more. This was actually an international production because I have friends from Germany, the United States, Brazil, all helping me out on this project. My friend Lorenzo made the 3D model of the hero medal. He also made the Nicelander building that Ralph wrecks. My friend Ali made Sour Bill, which is an incredible model considering it's only on screen for like a second or two. So then my friend John also modeled, rigged, animated the Clyde ghost from Pac-Man.
Change who we are.
And then my friend Kimball made all the racetrack fans and boxes, which Tyler actually textured. He made all the little jokes like Rain Bros. Because Wreck-It Ralph is larger than the rest of the characters, I built all the props in 2 different scales, so when other characters are handling them, they look much bigger than when Ralph is handling them. So I'm basically just taking these coasters and just gonna glue these guys together to create the form of the metal, and then I have this foam which I'm gonna cut out to have the star and hero text. But for the close-ups, we have these really detailed laser engraved medals made by Takahata 101. Katie also made a bunch of hero medals, both in the original film You're My Hero version and in the Virgin Radio version. I also bought 3 different sweaters for Vanellope because I wasn't sure which one was going to key out. Whenever an actor was interacting with something that wasn't there, I made sure to have something on set that was the same color as the object, the 3D object that they're going to be interacting with. For instance, for the cart smash scene, oops, spoiler, I'm sorry. If you guys haven't seen the film yet, you should watch the film. But for the moment of the cart smash, I wanted to have like this chocolate fabric covering the object that he hit, rather than a green fabric, because when he hit that, that would just cause a lot of green spill on him. We actually cooked a giant cookie that we used for her steering wheel that Troy glued with epoxy onto this bicycle pump that we attached to this $1 million dolly. Yeah, that thing was toxic. We shot principal photography in 2 days. It's January the 12th and January the 13th.
Can't tell what's going on anyway.
Hey, so what are we doing?
We're simulating the scene where the world gets unplugged.
We had to get very creative whenever someone was airborne. What we typically do is we have a stool that the actor balances himself on, but it was very difficult.
Don't fall.
I'd say probably the biggest challenge was probably the second shot we had of the day. So when I had to balance my body weight on the bench with my knees back up on apple boxes with a giant fan blowing in my face, and then deliver the line as well.
There's no one I'd rather be
Than me. The dropping of the medal into Gigi's hand. I don't know how many shots you had to do or if you have some footage of that, but that was classic. I know everybody behind the scene enjoyed that one. Something so simple that ended up being quite the task.
Thank you.
I remember looking at the chair, and being a big guy, we kind of have a good judgment of chair strength. And I said to him right beforehand, I was like, I bet you $100 this chair breaks. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, trust me. And then the next memory I have is on the floor looking at the concrete, and it was dead silent. Like nobody was saying anything. I don't know if they thought I was dead or they were worried about the chair.
Whoop, that moves. One sec.
Wreck-It Ralph is 9 feet tall. He's much larger than the rest of the characters. So that was a challenge for framing. We also had to do different eye lines so that when Wreck-It Ralph was talking to somebody, his eye line would be down there even if the actor was eye level with him.
There was times where I was standing on boxes for the other actor on camera.
In one situation, one of the actors was casting shadow across the other actor.
Felix's shadow goes across his face. So like the scaling might not work.
Oftentimes we'd have to split up the scene because the green screen wasn't big enough.
I'll go the extra mile.
Ralph, I'm gonna win.
You think was that good?
Yeah.
I think it was the best set that I've ever been on in my life.
I don't want to be a bad guy anymore.
We can't change who we are.
Only good guys win medals.
Well, I'm gonna win a medal. I'm gonna wreck it.
Ralph's game jumped?
Our job is to get them to the top of that building so they can win a medal. Ralph?
Cybug.
Thank you.
That medal's my ticket to a better life.
Vanellope, long sleeve!
That glitch must not race.
I'll win the race and get you back your medal.
If Vanellope becomes a racer, they'll think our game is broken.
I'm doing this for my own good.
You really are a bad guy.
It's too late, Ralph. There's a little girl whose only hope is this cart. Please fix it.
I'm gonna win.
That Cybug and multiply.
No. There's no one I'd rather be
Than me. I don't need a medal to know I'm a good guy.
Being my third year entering the Virgin Radio Fake Film Festival, I knew I needed to step up the quality and show people something that they've never seen before. So I remember from last year that one of the biggest time constraints I had was working in 3D. You have to model things, you have to texture them, you have to animate them, you have to light them and render them, and it's all very time consuming. So I'm working on 3 computers at once. I set up a render on one, just like a still frame to see if it works, and then if it does, and it's a pretty good render time, I send it off to my farm, which has been really slow, I think 4 hours a frame. Because the movie's like 64 shots in 60 seconds, and every single shot is an effect shot, I had to create a Google spreadsheet to keep myself organized. Also, I could keep track of what scenes I had rendered, send off to the farm to render, which scenes were failing on the render farm.
There's so many computers.
no.
No, that's a different one. That's rendering. I shouldn't even touch it.
It looks like the simulation finished, so let's see if it worked. It did not work again. That
So, we love children's movies. And we're really doing
Why the does a ribbon not stick with the thing? Oh, ribbon!
Hold on 1 second before you do that. I'm just gonna. Alright, that's.
Thank you.
There we go.
It was very stressful looking at that document and seeing so many unrendered shots, thinking, oh my god, I have to get to comping. I didn't comp until the competition was like 4 days away. Luckily, the Talbots, who DOP'd the film, shot it exceptionally well. All the screens keyed very, very well. There was very little roto work. The shutter was fast enough that I could actually grab tracking markers.
That's Ralph on a cart. Come on back in.
Yeah, so and then I export that tracking data to After Effects, replace the card with the actual plate of the actor. So I used a lot of multi-pass rendering to help me break up the image a little bit to create depth of field, mostly for the matte luminance channel, because you don't want CG to be super sharp, you want it to be somewhat softer, because in the computer things will render out perfectly to the pixel. But oftentimes when you're looking at an image, it'll have grain or luminance will kind of bleed over. There'll be a little bit of light wrap. So I'm gonna have to turn off the atmosphere layer, even though it looks awesome. I don't know why.
If you turn off the atmosphere, can the digital Wreck-It Ralph still breathe?
Is it really dark now, huh?
I can't see it at all. What with it?
Yeah.
Just a gray surface.
This is normally how I work. I just work in code. My mantra became artist time. Like whenever I was thinking, well, the artist time is more important than rendering time. Artist time is more important because I ended up faking a lot of stuff. When renders didn't work, Corey and I would take it into Photoshop and we would matte paint out sections that were just not up to snuff. His matte painting skills, as well as Jordan's matte painting skills, really came in handy for saving a lot of my bad renders.
This is how Wreck-It Ralph makes double martinis.
So, as you can imagine, the last few days of this project were insane. In a last-ditch effort to finish the film, I invited over John and Corey to help me comp a few remaining shots. Tarek came over and he rotoed 2 shots. It was just madness. We worked through the night, and the film was not put up on the Virgin Radio website until 11:55. So if the uploading doesn't go fast, I don't know what's going to happen. It has to upload first, then I have to upload it to Virgin Radio. Corey had like 5 minutes to make the end credit screen. I had like 1 minute to comp it. I'm very, very lucky to have been able to submit on time because it came right down to the wire.
I'm gonna wreck it. I'm gonna wreck it. I'm gonna wreck it. I think I got it. Here we are out at Mount View Monastery where they're doing a screening of Wreck-It Ralph. I'm here to help promote our film.
By fluke, the school had ordered a copy from Disney of Wreck-It Ralph that they were screening at the school. So I said, hey, would you mind if I could come, in costume, talk to the kids, and, maybe mention a bit about my film that was coming up. Ticket sales actually weren't good. So the second that the kids heard that Wreck-It Ralph was coming, it sold out right away.
You're like, he's not a cartoon, that's a real person.
What I didn't expect was first how well received it was being there, and second of all, signing autographs as a character who's not me.
Thank you so much for letting me come by and steal you guys, okay? So,
the autographs was a highlight, and then posing for the pictures and seeing the kids' faces was just awesome.
Thanks for watching behind the scenes for Wreck-It Ralph in 60 seconds. I hope it gave you more insight into how the film was made, but if you have any other questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to make a special tutorial on how we did that shot. Make sure you vote for us. Voting ends on February 23rd, so tell your friends, vote for Wreck-It Ralph in 60 seconds. Oh, and one last thing. I had the great privilege of being a judge for ADA Sports, an animation contest between East Coast and West Coast. See who I voted for here. Thanks, guys. And remember, just because you are Megasteakman doesn't mean you are Megasteakman. Am I right? It's my best saying gif. I'm sorry.
Megasteakman.